Hello and welcome to another edition of the Skycast, the sort of Sky Sports fantasy football version of the FPL focused Scoutcast. Today we are looking ahead to Gameweeks 20, which take place. There's two sets of games, two sets of fixtures coming up until Boxing Day, and the game weeks come thick and fast. So there won't be a Game Week 21 Skycast dedicated as such, but that's going to take place just ahead of New Year, but don't fret, those fixtures will be covered here as well, and then we'll be back again in the new year for Game Week 22, I think it is. Across this festive bundle of games, we'll look at our captaincy picks, transfers, and the latest bonus point tier kings. Joining me is Luke. Luke, how are you?
I'm very good, very good. Fresh off the back of multiple transfers used last week, largely to no gain, sadly.
Okay.
But looking forward, the trials and tribulations of Christmas period, judging family, work, alcohol, and transfers is going to be an interesting mix.
It is. It's a problem with Sky, isn't it? Because just before the game, we have access to the team sheets. Obviously, we can make transfers right up until kickoff. But if you're not around during that time, you sort of have to take a bit of a leap of faith. And with rotation around this time of year, it's really tricky. I had to do a bit this weekend. I was busy. I knew I wanted Dele Alli in and Rashford, and I just made that move very early Sunday morning because I knew I wouldn't be free. I just hoped for the best. So that actually didn't work out that well. As you said, we all made lots of transfers, but weren't so good. Unless, of course, you got in De Bruyne. De Bruyne, the real star of Game Week 19, and we are hoping, or those of us who still got him, that he will be for Game Weeks 20 and 21. I think the best thing to do is have a look at the fixtures coming up, and then obviously we draw in Game Week 21 after that. So let's go for Game Week 20. Now this takes place, there's a lot of them. So it's one of these fixture lists where I've had to split it in two because it just won't fit on the screen properly. So what we'll do is I'll go through that list, and then we'll find out your captains and any particular moves you're making. So let's start with the Saturday. We've got the fixtures up on the screen. I think I'm trying to think. Look, Man City against Leicester's a tricky one. I don't know. Who are you captaining that day? None of the fixtures really appeal to me.
No, I mean, well, we've got your thoughts or your feelings just there are shared by many, I think, because I think it basically has to come down to that Man City versus Leicester game, mainly because, well, they're obviously two of the best teams in the league and their players are going to be in our teams. Whereas you look at nearly all of the 3 o'clock games, I'd be very surprised if people own many of the people in those games. So it's really going to come down to that Vardy or Kevin De Bruyne, I would have thought, for most people, which as to who's their captain on that day. I mean, the only other one that's in the back of my mind, and I have him, is Richarlison. Everton at home to Arsenal. Yes. Obviously, Arsenal's defence is very shaky. So I think he could be a reasonable differential. It's the early game as well. That's the thing that scares you. You know, when you don't want to get that out of the way and he's blanked. And then you've got, Kevin De Bruyne coming up at 5:30. I still think Kevin De Bruyne is probably the standout at the moment.
I think so. It's we'll have a look at bonus a bit later, but even if it, those Vardy and De Bruyne aren't involved in goals, generally De Bruyne can pick up some bonus there, and
which is added to his game.
And it helps that he's always the best player on the pitch because on account of Messi and Ronaldo not playing in our league at the moment. So there's a possibility of man of the match there as well. Vardy, I just don't know. I just don't think he's going to get that level of shots for the shot tier passing and the shot bonus for there. So I think so. Okay, let's move on to Sunday. We've got some slightly better options, possibly. Spurs against Chelsea, Watford against Manchester United. I guess Rashford and those Spurs players that we've all got in a bit too early, perhaps. But who's your captain that day?
Yeah, it's very much that, isn't it? It's whether you go for Son or Ali at home to Chelsea or whether you go for Rashford away to Watford. I am erring on the side of Rashford just because, I mean, apart from last week, where it was probably his first week, he's blanked in about 8 or 9 weeks. He has been incredibly consistent.
Yes.
So it does worry me that, I mean, it's been talked about quite a lot in the community. The Man United are better against, teams that actually attack them, and then they can counter with Rashford's pace and, James's pace and stuff, and it suits them better. And Watford strikes me as the game where they're going to sit back and defend. So it might be a tough game for him. However, I don't think you can avoid him still. I still think
No.
he's going to see a lot of the ball. He's going to have a lot of shots. He'll get the bonus points. So he's probably my pick.
And also Rashford over the season has scored against a whole range of different types of teams, defensive, attacking. So I'm not wholly convinced by that argument. So I also think Rashford's a good bet for this day. Also, I think with Watford as well, I saw the first Salah goal. Yeah, sure, you got Firmino, Mane to Salah, but it was just that there was that good pass, and there was basically Salah was there to take it. Now Rashford's done that. All we need is a good pass to eventually get to Rashford, and Rashford can do that type of goal as well, just outside the penalty box or just on the edge of it, and then unleashing a curler into the net there from nothing. So he's a player I'm pleased to own again. Let's move over. So we're moving across from Sunday through to Boxing Day. So alcohol, mince pies, etc., all consumed. And then Boxing Day, you've got everyone. So is everyone there? So who's the best one? Which fixtures stand out that day?
Yeah, it's kind of a great day for football in general, but for Sky, it's not that great because obviously you can make your moves in between the game days, and there isn't different game days. Everyone's playing on the same day, so you are limited in how much you can do. So I actually think the best pick here is going to be Spurs Brighton because it's the early kickoff. I imagine there is going to be quite a bit of rotation on this day. We get to see the lineup, so if you see that Son or Ali or Kane or whoever you're going with is in the lineup for that home game against Brighton, it's a really safe pick. He's going to play. You put him in there, and it's arguably one of the best fixtures of the lot. So that is the standout by quite a way for me. There are several other options. You can see Everton at home to Burnley. You've got Richarlison there. You've got Chelsea players home to Southampton. Man United again. Rashford is definitely a consideration home to Newcastle. And then you've got Leicester versus Liverpool that kind of kills probably both of those assets, I would have said. So, again, similar to the Sunday, it's going to be Rashford or a Spurs player with probably the guarantee of your player starting, just edging it for Spurs for me. Yeah,
no, I think so. You mentioned Richarlison and differential, I think, go hand in hand at the moment. I think he's a great option. We do have a question a bit later about Christmas differentials. Richarlison's in your team. I think you're onto a winner there. They're looking good, Everton, at the moment. They could be getting Ancelotti in, which I laugh every time I say that. But Everton may be managed by Ancelotti there. I can't see Richarlison being dropped. He's by far their best player on the pitch, and the one that seems to be the most likely to be involved in goals. So lots of good matches there. Now let's move forward a little bit to game week 21. So now I haven't got these up on the screen, so we're just going to go through that list really, because it's important that we bear in mind these fixtures. So the Friday, just one match, Wolves against City. Friday 27th December, Wolves against City. Well, I mean, if you got Jimenez, maybe, but KDB again, surely.
Yeah, it's KDB all day, isn't it? We have the benefit of seeing, because it's the only game, obviously, seeing the team line up. So any surprises, you can react to them. So, Kevin De Bruyne. I mean, if Aguero's back in the team, he might be a tempter for some people there.
Saturday, 28th of December, variety 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 matches. Spurs away to Norwich. We know that Norwich actually seem to be, at the moment, worse at home, which is great if you've got Son or Ali, or if you've gone for Kane. I think a Spurs lad would probably be my captain that day. But looking at the fixtures, maybe Vardy away to West Ham. West Ham are awful. Vardy's great. Which fixtures stand out for you?
Again, it's going to be Vardy. Rashford away to Burnley is again another option. Or the Spurs lads. And to be fair, the Spurs game is actually on Sky. It's on TV. And why that is important, I think, is because the likes of Son, when they play on a game that's on live TV and usually catches the eye, you've probably got a better chance of him getting man of the match in that game if he plays. So Son is a good pick for me, and Vardy's he's Vardy, isn't he? So I think a lot of people will be going there.
So
West
see
Ham's keeper situation is dodgy at the moment as well, isn't it? I don't know if Roberto.
I don't know.
Someone said that Martin might be injured and Roberto might be coming back in. So,
or even if Roberto's not, I don't know who they got left. You, me, I don't know.
Andy Carroll.
He's big enough. I just think a familiar theme is developing really for those we're looking at game week 20 and 21. Vardy is still key, I think. Rashford is a good bet. Spurs players, they're getting mentioned a lot. Let's move on to Sunday, 29th of December. Liverpool against Wolves, City against Sheffield United, Arsenal against Chelsea. I guess KDB again against Sheffield United.
Yeah, it's KDB again, isn't it? Or if you've gone back to Liverpool by now, which is, I think this was the game, if I remember rightly, you could have, when you've done that Spurs swap for the 4-1, this was the game that you could look at bringing back your Liverpool assets in. So obviously Salah, Mane are complete standouts there as well, but Kevin De Bruyne's already there. And Spurs obviously the next week are playing Southampton, so many people might just hold off on Liverpool. So
it's true. That's another question that's going to come up a bit later about Liverpool assets and whether we need them over Christmas. But I'm looking at that and I'm thinking, well, I could bring back a Liverpool player, but then I've got KDB that day for the captaincy, and Liverpool Wolves isn't as easy to call as perhaps, Liverpool against Watford, for example.
No.
Let's move on to Wednesday, 1st of January. This is still within the same game week, so we've got a whole bunch of fixtures, as you imagine, on New Year's.
So exciting.
Yeah, it's too exciting. So, yeah, you mentioned Spurs Southampton. Once again, Spurs players are mentioned there. Man City against Everton. Man City at home to Everton.
Yeah, you got De Bruyne, you got Vardy away to Newcastle, and you've got Spurs away to Southampton. Brilliant. So the theme continues. It's the same players. I mean, Rashford's playing Arsenal, which, I mean, to me, that is ideal game for Rashford. Arsenal at home, they're conceding so many shots. I mean, by then we might have a new manager, so we might have a new narrative around it. But if it's continuing in the same vein as Man City showed recently against Arsenal, I think Rashford could be dynamite in that game if they've still got Lundberg in charge. So we'll have to see on that one.
Because that feels so. If we are of the belief that Manchester United don't do well against more defensive sided teams, then Arsenal are perfect because they are a very attacking side, but they're rubbish at attacking and defending, which is brilliant. So
incredibly open,
tailor-made for Rashford, whichever school of thought you're coming from for him. So the final match, Thursday, 2nd of January, Liverpool against Sheffield United. Now I've got Henderson. I've got Alexander-Arnold. I may keep him, but I don't know. I mean, is this a match to bring in the likes of Mane or Salah, or can we do without?
I'd be incredibly worried not to own them. I mean, Sheffield United are great, aren't they? So there is a chance that this is quite low scoring. But the ownership and just the machine that is Liverpool is a worry. I think it's going to be one of those ones where we're going to have to gauge the form of the teams in the next few days. We're then going to look at the lineups, and you're going to have to make a decision based on more information. At the moment, I'd be scared to go without Liverpool, to be honest. But I can completely see the argument to continue to ignore them up until the end of January, like one of those posters said, because they play away to Spurs the week after, and the games aren't great overall. Home to Man United the week after, how far do you want to go? It's not that good for a little while. So if you are sort of looking for differentials, then obviously avoiding Liverpool is probably the best, the biggest differential you can do because they're the most highly owned team.
I think if you are minded to go back to Liverpool, then that Sunday, 29th December, Liverpool against Wolves, probably go for that. Maybe not necessarily captain Mane or Salah, but at least you're going to get a game out of them and they could do well, and that will give you an indication. But transfers are starting to dwindle; they're going down, and we've got a question on transfers coming up a bit as well. Before we do that, let's have a look at the bonus point kings of Sky at the moment. So a few familiar names. Fernandinho, he's been there forever. Since he could kick a ball, he's been getting Sky.
He's a perma fixture.
He's a perma fixture as well. What I like is the fact that De Bruyne is now doing well there.
Yeah.
So he's getting those goals, getting the assists, but he's also getting those bonuses as well. We've got a few goalkeepers, Dubravka, Leno. I mean, I'm not sure many have them. But your man Aurier, now you mentioned him before, game week 19, and he is in your team at the moment. So tell us a bit about him. Why is he a good pick at the moment?
Yeah, if the stats are up on the screen there, you just have to go to those tackles one column again and scroll down. And it's again at 12, which it was last week. Now, obviously, the other week's dropped out and the new week's come in. He got tackle bonus again this week. He's averaging it, if you go right across to the right-hand side, he's averaging bonus every 38 minutes. And he actually got his bonus pretty much bang on 38 minutes last week. It was around the 40th minute mark that he picked it up. So, good games. We've already discussed Tottenham stand out for quite a lot of those days as captain days. So they're obviously got some good games and some good fixtures. And Aurier's getting bonus, which, is pretty good for the 8 million. And then he can obviously put in some attacking returns. And I think Spurs have been relatively unlucky, clean sheet wise. They looked pretty close to getting one last week. I don't know how many minutes did they survive last week before they conceded. They conceded right near the last 20 or 30 minutes, if I remember rightly. Yeah. So I think he's just a good pick all round, and he's probably the standout sort of differential pick on that list. Like you said about De Bruyne, the reason before we weren't so hot on him being captain was because he didn't have that passing bonus to fall back on, and he still isn't really getting that passing bonus. He is occasionally, but however, he's gone the whole hog, and he's getting shot bonus now pretty much every single week. He's unleashing. Yeah, he's got tier 2 shots 3 times, I think, in the last 4 weeks.
Yeah.
So now you've got that reliability to go with him, and then obviously if he does get goals or assists, he picks up bonus as well. You end up with an extremely large haul from him. So he's right at the top of the list for captain for those reasons, adding bonus to his game.
Yeah, there's the only other name mentioned, Guita as well. So I think yourself joined me in getting Henderson in. He's been great. I'm very pleased. I got 14 points out of him the last game week. But Guita, great option as well. And I sort of wish I'd gone for him. He's fantastic. He's getting the save bonus. I know in the FPL game he got 8 points in a 1-1 draw, which is really amazing. Yeah. That's really amazing for a goalkeeper. So if he's getting that in that format, and Sky, he's being rewarded in Sky as well. So good
indeed.
option.
And we can't really judge this until, a lot of us went Henderson. We were eyeing up Henderson or Guita, and Guita's done fantastic so far, brilliant. But however, Guita's captain day, which was the last game just gone, obviously they conceded.
Yeah.
And the reason a lot of us got Henderson is because you've got the game versus Liverpool on Thursday, the 2nd of January, but then more importantly, you've got the Sheffield United at home to West Ham on Friday, the 10th of January.
Yeah.
So that will be Henderson will be my captain on that day. Now, if he manages to get the clean sheet or bonus or do anything in that game, suddenly, you double his points and he might have matched Guita for the period. So we can't really judge it until after that game, I think. Then we'll see.
Yeah, definitely. They're both good options. We've had some questions from the community, and the first one is from a young man called Dan Cox, who has only blooming gone and won it. So
rubbish, isn't he?
Yeah, he knows what he's doing. So he's talking about Liverpool and West Ham because they're obviously got a blank fixture at the moment. So if you've got your Liverpool West Ham fixtures, they're not going to play immediately at the moment because of the World Club Cup. But what happens if that game, their double game week for them, is essentially rearranged, and it sort of happens around the overhaul? Should we be aware of that? That Liverpool and West Ham might be having an extra game thrown in just when we're about to overhaul our team, or just after we've overhauled our team? Something to bear in mind.
Bit of a nightmare for Sky, that, isn't it? Because it'll be the first time that's happened. You can't really blame them because how are they to know that would happen? But I've had it actually communicated with the guy who runs Sky. We do some work together with them, and basically he's fed back that essentially what will happen is the overhaul will be cut short, so it will just be the last few days after the match.
Oh, right.
So he's currently hoping that it will be a Monday night game. I don't think that's a possibility. I think it's probably more likely to be a Wednesday. So you're probably going to end up with an extremely short overhaul window of maybe just 2 or 3 days or something like that to actually use it. So it's going to catch a lot of the casual community out, I would have said. And if anything, it benefits those of us that are watching videos such as this to
we're going to
make use of it.
Well, we're going to be back in New Year for more of these, and so I'll be listening to you for that as well. So Phil Appleby asks, Aubameyang to Kane to Salah. Does that make sense? So he's got a sort of a plan over Christmas. So Aubameyang he fancies against Everton, and then move to Kane, who could then has Chelsea, Brighton, Norwich, and then move to Salah for that, we mentioned it, that Wolves game, Liverpool, and then the Sheffield United. So is there sort of a hokey-cokey there going on, 3 premium? Does that make sense, that plan?
Yeah, I kind of like that. A lot of us did the Spurs and Rashford swap, which was probably more beneficial on paper. over the last, but that's already happened. So if you're in the position now, I do actually kind of like that, because at the end of the day, I think you're basically trading, rather than going straight to Salah, because I do agree with getting Aubameyang out, and Salah will play Leicester after the blank. So essentially, you're trading the away to Leicester game, I think it's away, for Kane to play 3 games, Chelsea, Brighton, Norwich. So it's kind of a 3-1 for one extra transfer. So yeah, I like that. Obviously, there could be more beneficial times to use a transfer later in the season, but we don't know about those. But a 3-1 for a premium player for some good games, I'm all behind that. I think that's a good move, to be honest.
Yeah, I'm very tempted that sort of move. It just depends on that bit at the end, going back to Liverpool. Hornet asks though, so we mentioned Kane in that, but is Son actually a better pick? So for that forward space there, so we've got Ali in midfield if we want him, Kane up top if you want him, but if you don't want Kane, Son. So is Son or Kane, which is better?
Yeah, we discussed this last week, didn't we? Actually, it's tricky. I'm still of the side of Son. I mean, I think you've got opinions on this as well, Joe. So whenever you want to take it away and see.
No, I agree with you. It's that combination of points. You've got passing, you've got the creating the chances for the assists, and then you've got the goals as well. And also they're proper assists. So sometimes if you play FPL and Sky, you see the assist in FPL and you think, why haven't I got it in Sky? But the sort of assists that Son's going for aren't these sort of rebounds or winning penalties. It's those. It's an actual assist. He's passing to the scorer. That's what you want, and he scores himself. So he's just got that range. I like it.
Yeah, and he's on TV. I mean, you watch the game on TV. Yeah. You watch Kane. You watch Son. There's only one player that stands out between those two for a player who's catching the eye running around. So unless Kane's firing, he's got it in his locker obviously, but unless he's firing 30-yard shots into the top corner, then it's going to be Son all day for me.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I laughed a bit there because the comparison when you're watching on TV between Kane and Son, it's like Son is amazing looking, and Kane's just like that bloke who's just there and occasionally.
Yeah, he's won a competition.
Yeah.
And he's just on the pitch. Yeah.
But that's how he looks. But of course, he can come away with a monster haul. Hornet also asks, how many transfers are you planning to have left following the second overhaul? So I've got 24 at the moment for me. I don't know. I'm thinking around about 20, I guess. But yeah, what's your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I'm down to I've got 21 left, and I currently haven't got any transfers planned until the overhaul at the moment. Obviously things will probably change, injuries, form, etc. So if I can get into it somewhere around that 20 transfers left, I'll be loving life. But I think anywhere down to 15 is still decent, as long as you've got to that point and you're happy with your team, and then when you go for the overhaul you get to pick a completely new one, right? So as long as you've got 15 left, I think you're pretty much in a decent position, I think.
Yeah. James Wood asks, can we do without Liverpool players? So there's that question we discussed slightly earlier. So until the end of January and focus on differential. So he said the likes of Ali, but also Richarlison. Now you've got Richarlison in your team. And looking at the fixtures and the way it's panning out, Everton fixtures pretty good actually. So yeah, I think we discussed, if you want to get Liverpool back, then go for that Wolves fixture and then they're on. But if you don't want to do without Liverpool, there's other options for the captaincy those days. But yeah, what about you? You gonna go back to Liverpool? You mentioned the fear factor there. That is quite powerful when it comes to Mane and Salah.
I think I'll certainly have one of Mane or Salah come back in for me, because I've got Rashford, Vardy, and who's my other forward? I can't remember who it is now.
That's right. Let's put your team up then.
I can't remember. I've got Son. That's it.
There we go.
So. Yeah, so I've got Rashford, Vardy and Son, and the plan I've jotted down is for Son to come back out after their period of games are not quite as good, and Mane or Salah will come back in. That's my current thought, and usually I would have loads of Liverpool defenders, which I had before, and I don't have them, so I probably won't be jumping back to them unless I can see huge improvement in the clean sheet area, which... to be fair, they have kept 2 clean sheets in a row now, I think. But anyone who watched that Watford game, how they came out of that with a clean sheet, I'm not quite sure, to be honest. So one to judge further down the line, I think. And I can completely understand the argument of looking for differentials over this period. It's just when you're backing against the team who basically hasn't lost or drawn a match, it feels like in about 2 years, it is a worry.
Yeah. Paul McNulty, another very good Sky manager. He's often in the top 100, I think. I always see Paul's name up there in the higher echelons of the rankings. He just asked, who are festive periods differentials? So we mentioned a few already. Richarlison, Aurier as well. I mean, they sound top of my list. What about any others?
Yeah, so Richarlison is, I think, only owned by 15% of the top. I think it's 1K they measure in Sky, so that's still pretty good differential. He's certainly one of them. Son and Ali again are only owned by only owned by 5% or less of the entire game. They are actually quite highly owned in the top 1K. It's like 25%, but overall only 5%. So Son and Ali again, obvious picks for me. The other one that stands out really is Grealish at 9.3%. Owned in the top 1K. I mean, it's games for the next 4, which I guess the next 4 are probably the festive period, really, just to the end of New Year. If you look at the next 4, Aston Villa are top of the ticker on Fantasy Football Scout, and he's a player who clearly stands out for many reasons. So man of the match is often something that is looked at for him. So I think he's definitely one. And the only other one I really could think of that was exciting anyway was Aguero, which I already mentioned. If he's back, and Man City have got those individual days, it's nice to have like an explosive player that no one else has got, a player that can return massive hauls. So if you are sort of into taking the odd risk, you get Aguero and you put the captain armbands on him. They're only differentials for so long. If he comes back and fires a brace and then a brace the next week, you'll suddenly be owned by 40% of the game and you've missed out on all those points. So he is the only other sort of exciting one I can think of, really. I don't know if you've got any that you can think of.
No, I mean, aside from all the ones you've owned, I just wanted to reiterate with Aguero, that's a real make or break move, because we know we could get 2 points, but we could get like 20 points a match. So you could be on for a 40-point captaincy haul for some of those matches. We know that. So yeah, real make or break player. And I just want to mention another differential, which is keep some of the players you've got, which is something I sort of advocate in the FPL format, but definitely in Sky with transfers. So you look at players like, say, Maddison. So the Leicester fixtures aren't so good. We've got Vardy. And there could be a temptation to remove him, but Maddison looks all right to me. You mentioned, obviously, De Bruyne. As we found out, De Bruyne is just indispensable at the moment. And Sionju as well. He's still picking up bonus points. He's still doing what he does, even if they concede. So sometimes I think one of the best differentials is to be patient with the players that you've got, if you have reason to be patient. But yeah, I do concede for some of the others, it's time to move on. We've got your team up on the screen. Just to recap for those listening to the podcast version. You've got Henderson, Aurier, Sionju, James, Ali, De Bruyne, Richarlison, Maddison, and then Vardy, Son and Rashford up top. And just to recap on your rough plans over Christmas in terms of transfers.
Yeah, so I haven't got any transfers planned. James is a bit of a worry because he might not be playing. However, he's so cheap. I'm not really too bothered because most people have got either Gilbert or Burn in that position. Yeah. So I don't think I'm losing out too much by having him. Yeah, I could make the swap if he just doesn't play for like the next 3 or 4 weeks. Then I might have to look at it, but I'm quite confident he'll probably come back into the team in a few games. So apart from that, the only other plan really I've got is like I said, to move Son onto Mane a lot further down the line when we have that Wolves game or the game against Sheffield United. Apart from that, I've pretty much got all my bases covered. The only other thing I possibly am looking at is Maddison to Grealish. But, I mean, you look at the 2 fixtures he's got, Man City away, home to Liverpool, and then you look at what Grealish has got. I would have thought Grealish will outscore him. But if it's worth that transfer, like you were just saying, I don't know for sure.
It's one of those, but you can't do it down the line. If you won't get Grealish in, you've got to go now. This is the Grealish time. Exactly. If you're going to wait around a week, then it's gone. Your Grealish moment is gone. So do it now if you're going to. Let's have a look at my team. Now my team is, so I've got 24 transfers left. I'm 2,500 in the rankings at the moment, so I'm okay with that. I've got Henderson in goal, Alexander-Arnold, Sionju and Gilbert, Ali, KDB, Maddison and Mount, Vardy, Rashford and Aubameyang. So I laugh whenever I say I've got Aubameyang. So the plan is Aubameyang to Son, possibly Kane, but it's probably going to be Son on the Sunday morning. So I get the Aubameyang game and then I get the Spurs game.
Yeah.
Captain him or Ali. So at the moment I've got it on Ali, but it's going to be a Spurs player I think that day. Alexander-Arnold is a possible move to Aurier. If I think that over the next few up to overhaul that the Spurs guy, I think clean sheet wise, both of them have got just bad a chance as each other. But it's as you mentioned, the Aurier bonuses, and of course Alexander-Arnold, he can't get any points if he's not playing at the moment. Mount to Grealish as well. I am thinking about that.
I think I'd probably do that if I was you. Yeah, Mount to Grealish. Yeah,
I think
he's looked out of sorts.
It's Grealish time. I've got to do that now, or not, or forever hold my tongue and keep Mount forever. Maddison, I just don't think Maddison's going to go anywhere. I just don't have any reason to get rid of him. But yeah, some tough decisions. You've made you've sort of got yourself sorted for Christmas already, and I'm scrabbling around on Boxing Day with all the other dads on Boxing Day, on Christmas Eve with all the other dads trying to get their presents at the last minute, and that's possibly what's going to happen with me with Grealish, Son, Aurier. So I might be down to 21, same as you actually. So we'll probably end up with quite similar teams. We'll see how we go, and then hopefully both of us will charge up the rankings. And although, well, that's the hope anyway. But in the meantime, Luke, is there anything else you wanted to add really about this game week 20 and 21?
No, I just think we kind of touched on it there, and right at the start that this is the period now where you'll probably start to see, because Sky has always been that rabbit and tortoise moment where the transfers are getting burned by a lot of the players in the top sort of 3-4K. You've also then got the Christmas period where attentions are elsewhere. So this is probably the beginning where you'll start to see, if you've played the game in the right way, you paced yourself out with transfers, that you'll start to see some moves in your mini leagues, I would have thought. And big moves can be made in Sky. They've been made by myself and many others multiple times. So keep the faith. Basically, over the next months, you should see some rewards, I think.
Well, Luke, good luck with the game weeks that are coming, and have a great Christmas.
You too, mate. Catch you next time.